Hey, there you are. Come on in, get comfortable, get that old seat belt strapped in, and let's see where these life lanes take us today. We've been in a series called Some of Y'all Haven't Been to Church in a Long Time, and I don't blame you one bit. And this is the concluding installment. Now, at the end of the other installments, I've left you with a thought, which is don't let whatever happens in church interfere with or impede or impair your relationship with God. And I've said that those should be two separate things. I know that there's a school of thought that says that our relationship with God and our relationship with our church are symbiotic. And you might hear an example such as this. If you're trying to get in shape, right? You go to the gym, you work out, you start toning muscle, you start building muscle, you start beefing up. As long as you keep going to the gym, you're going to meet your goal. And if you stop going, then all of that work is just going to turn to flab. And going to church is similar to that. It's like going to the gym. You got to go to church, go to the gym to keep your spiritual strength not just maintained, but to continue building it. And that if you stop going to church, that your spiritual strength is going to turn to spiritual flab. There's another side to that coin. Sometimes we go to the gym, we get on a piece of equipment, we set the weight, we get in position to execute the exercise, and we tear a muscle. Is it prudent then with the torn muscle to keep going back and keep doing that work if we have an injury? When I was in junior high, we had a weight room at the school. And I think there was two bench press stations, free weights. And we were cautioned not to use those. And I always thought it was strange that if they were there, then why would you say don't use them, right? Well, apparently what had happened at some point, prior to that, is that someone was using the free weight bench press. Maybe they loaded up too much weight and dropped it on their head and had a very serious injury. Now, I don't know if it was a recoverable injury. I don't know if the student passed away, but it was enough that obviously the PE teachers were pretty shook about it. So that's the other side of the coin to the gym analogy and church. What do you do in the case when going to the gym, church, ends up with an injury or a traumatic injury or death? There's validity to going to church to maintain spiritual strength, but not going does not mean that we're not in love with God. We're not serving God. We're not in His Word. Maybe there was some sort of injury that we're trying to recover from. I want to take you to the book of John, chapter 3. Nicodemus, he was a Pharisee, and he was a leader. And Nicodemus was curious about Jesus. So he arranged this low-key, late-night meeting with Jesus. And in the context of the conversation, Jesus is explaining to Nicodemus that you got to be born again to see the kingdom of heaven. There's no mention of church attendance. There's no mention of church membership. It's a one-on-one relationship, you and God. In the book of Revelation, it talks about the book of life. And in the book of life, when it's open, anybody whose name's not in the book of life, they're destined for hell. When we stand before the Lord and He opens that book of life to see if our names are in it, He ain't going to ask you what church you went to. There are 4 points that I can tell you for certain are absolutely, positively true. We're all going to die someday. That's for certain. Some of us are going to die believing in God's plan of salvation, and some of us are going to take the other route. Now, if I live my life as a believer in God's plan of salvation, when I die, if nothing's there, I've lost nothing. On the other hand, if I were a non-believer, agnostic, atheist, what have you, and I die, and I'm wrong, I've got a lot to lose. I got big problems. Because the fact is, there's no do-overs. If you've had bad experiences in church, consider your relationship with God with blinders on. Just focused on your relationship with God. Don't let whatever happens in church interfere with or impede or impair your relationship with God. let's go back to the point of the series. And with that, bye for now. See you soon.